with a physical life, we never take 100% with us down here on earth. We will leave an essence of our energy behind. And it might be 5%, might be 10%, but we leave that with our soul family. And that is because when we finally cross over from our physical life and we go back home, that energy is a blueprint of how to repair us back to 100% of what we were before we left. It's also our higher self. Our higher self has our full memory of all our past lives in spirit.
Take the time to remind yourself that it all starts inside yourself.
Wake up feeling stuck every day, then you gotta realize that it's all in your mindset. Read about that meditation, you go get around to it, you just haven't had the time yet. Yeah, I bet. Best thing that you could invest in is you. Could have the results or could have the excuse. Only one life, so take care of what you choose. And I ain't preaching, I'm just telling you the truth. Wake up.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Bombastik Broadcasting with Kat, Kim, and Sue. We're so excited to be back on with Craig Harry, part 2. He's a past life regressionist and a hypnotherapist from the land down under. Welcome back, Craig.
Fast forward, say 50 years, where you're part of the physician circle to help dispel any of these traumas, because we could evolve so much faster for our lessons. And these cycles of trauma, like abuse goes for generations. Can that actually be stopped with some help from a teacher and a healer like you?
These are all things that can be worked on. I have helped people with that. You know, just because someone comes looking for a past life, they might find that they were a victim of child abuse, and that's been affecting their whole physical life in this lifetime, and they didn't even know they had it. Yeah,
that's the stuff that really scares me.
Yes,
and if you can help people get through that,
yes, I've had several cases, mainly women, of course, and I had one case where a wife said she been married, 15 years and still felt uncomfortable any men touching her, including her husband. Turns out she was sexually abused by a teacher when she was only like 9, and had forgotten it because it was too traumatic for her mind to deal with. So it just wiped it away. But her subconscious remembered. Yes.
And it changes you, whether you think it does or not, because hurt people, and then you see the cycle continuing. Yes. I just thought about the power that you could have, like people like you, with your gift and your skill set, to help that kind of thing stop would change the game on Earth.
This is where I would like to see that one day, that this is part of normal medicine, that you explore this angle or that angle or this test or that test. Once we all get accepting that this is real, that we can do real healing through it, it's real memories, then we can do some wonderful healing of people or checkups, seeing how people are going.
Yeah.
One day we'll get there. At the moment, we're still fringe, but there's more and more people that are accepting it and believing the facts of how it works. And it reminds me of the story of Charles Lister, who invented antiseptics.
Listerine.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Charles Lister invented Listerine, and several other antiseptics. Now, at the time, women were dying from childbirth because the doctors who were doing this weren't washing their hands. Because there was the theory of germs, but because they couldn't see them, they didn't exist.
Wow.
So they would go from patient to patient.
Without singing the happy birthday song.
Yes. And they wouldn't wash their hands. They would contaminate the next woman, and she would die from septicemia. Charles Lister, one of the doctors, he believed, because there was a Czech doctor who said there must be these small invisible things that cause it. And he found out by washing his hands, he was saving nearly 80% of his female patients. And in Czechoslovakia, they thought he was crazy seeing invisible things that weren't there, and they actually put him in a mental institution. But Charles Lister in England, he said, I'm going to see if this is real. So he started washing his hands and using clean towels, and his survival rate for women went up like 60, 70% as well. So he tried to tell the academic Society, they were like, whatever. And so he educated the public. And he said, if you to go to a doctor or anything, insist they wash their hands. Even, just with soap, wash your hands and that'll help. And he was teaching the people, wash your hands when handling this or that. And he came up with an antiseptics to use. So it's just changing the world and getting that grassroots knowledge out there. And it was the public that forced doctors to wash their hands and forced them to change their hygiene practices, not the other way around.
Cool.
And then when the microscope was invented, what do you know? There's germs.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Very
That's
cool.
amazing.
I think you just kind of highlighted why we do these, right? Bombastic broadcasting is very much about highlighting that kind of knowledge. I love that your background, is science, like you're an atheist, you have both sides. So it's so cool to hear and get that knowledge from you.
When I first read about all this, I thought, well, that's a great theory. I thought of myself, I'll go and have a past life regression. But then I had a wow moment where I thought maybe I could do some past life regressions of people to see if it works, just to validate it. Because I liked the book so much and the theory so much. And that was the main reason I went and learned to become a hypnotherapist. And I regressed all my friends first for a whole year. I was just regressing people I knew until I was confident of how it worked and how to do it properly. And so all my friends were my guinea pigs, which was great. And
That's interesting.
off we went from there. So I could validate it. And that way, if I could validate it for me, then I could share that with other people like we're doing tonight. And I could say, I've done the research and I've tested it for me. And that's the only way I can tell you it works, because I convinced me it works by the facts.
That's so responsible.
I remember that's what science is. It's testing your theory. It's testing your facts. And if the theory is sound, you'll be able to replicate it and make it work. If it isn't, then you got to do more research and find out what's wrong, what's right. But based on the books from Dr. Brian Weiss.
Were your friends all freaked out? Blown away? What are you doing?
They were pretty cool about it. They were like, yeah, let's give this a go. Mainly the women.
Okay.
Girls were like, yeah, this sounds great, let's give it a go. But the very first client I had, I'll always remember it because he was a fellow work colleague in steel manufacturing where I was. And I was telling him that, I'm going to start doing this. And he said, I want to have a go. I said, seriously? He's like, yeah, I'll have a go. So I'm like, all right.
Have a go.
So I didn't think it would work. I thought, we'll just give it a go, see how it goes. So it worked. He regressed, and it was amazing because he had 2 to 3 past lives. The first one was he was an American Indian, and he worked his way up to be the one of the chiefs in the tribe, because they have 2 chiefs. They have a peacetime chief and a wartime chief. And he worked his way up to be the wartime chief on how to fight and how to defend. And they did have his father was out hunting and came across 3 white men, and they killed his father, being an Indian. And the law of the tribe was that the son could revenge the father. So his job was to track down these 3 white men, these hunters. And he did. And he took them on in combat and killed all 3.
Okay.
And according to Indian law, that was his right to do that. That was his justice. So he did that. He became wartime chief. But the white men's expansion and towns encroached into their territory. And one day he was out and just stumbled across more white people, and they were so scared of Indians that they just shot him on sight. And that's how he died. That was his first regression. I was like, wow, this is working, And at this stage, I didn't know anything about there was a spiritual world or these other different areas. It was just past life. So I asked him to go to his next past life, and he was in medieval Europe, somewhere like Germany, and he was going from town to town as an assassin. So he would go to the lord or whoever was running that castle in that territory, and he would say to him, do you have any political enemies you need to get rid of? And they would say, oh, yeah, I've got a few. And he's like, well, I'm the perfect answer for that because I'm out of town. I'm just traveling through. If you point them out and identify them to me, I will induce a fight in the tavern or in the street or somewhere, and I will kill them. And I expect so much gold from you. I'll make my escape, and you can blame this person from out of town. You had nothing to do with them, and what a terrible thing it was, and we'll put a reward up for this person to hunt him down and everything. And he just kept traveling from place to place solving problems for the rulers.
Right.
Wow.
So,
oh my gosh, what a
do.
cool bunch of lives.
Oh, yeah. He made money, but he had no friends because he was doing all that, and he couldn't tell them what he was doing, but he couldn't trust anyone either. And as he's traveling alone through the forest, it had been raining and a lot of mud, and he slipped and fell into a quagmire of mud and debris and everything, what we would call quicksand, but it's more mud. He got stuck, and because he was alone, he couldn't get out. There was that much mud, and he drowned in it.
Oh.
So he crossed over, and he found himself on like an open field at night. So the ground's there, you can see stars, and the sky is the nighttime sky. And he just found himself in this environment. And say about 4 football fields down, he could see this circle of light down there, a tunnel, if you will. So he started walking, and he got closer and closer, and sure enough, it was a tunnel of light leading out of this area. And when he got within about 20 feet, the tunnel of light turned into a ball of light and flew up in the air and flew to the other end where he just walked from. So 4 football fields back that way. So he's like, oh, okay. So he'd turn around and he'd walk all that distance back to the light. And sure enough, when he got within 20 feet, it would fly up into the air and go to a different point on this field at night. And I'm thinking, wow, okay. And I said to him, all right, move ahead in time. Let's go ahead in time to when you do get out. And I go, 1, 2, 3, all right, what's happening now? And he says, I'm still walking. I'm still here. I'm still trying to get to the exit, the tunnel of light. So I go, all right, let's move ahead. Let's keep going ahead. What's happening now? And he says, I'm still here. I'm still walking. I'm still trying to get to the tunnel of light. And I'm thinking, okay, he's with me here. He did make it out because he's alive and well here in Australia. And I'm thinking, all right, we just keep going. And it took forever to get him out of there.
Whoa.
And I said, well, what happens when you finally do get out? What happens then? And he said, well, it's just habit that he walks toward the light and it jumps and moves away. And he said, just this one time, it didn't move away. And these 2 big hands of glowing light came out of the tunnel and embraced him and pulled him into the tunnel. And then he crossed back over into spirit. And he was told that was karma. He had to be in that environment to pay back all the years that he robbed all the other people, that he robbed them of their years by murdering them.
Oh, wow.
So that was his way of paying it back. So if he robbed them of 500 years, that's how long he was there for.
Wow.
That sounded like a little piece of hell. If you keep going towards the light and it moves.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're in the dark.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Halloween's approaching. You would be so much fun at a campfire.
Terrifying.
I could tell some ghost stories, some real ghost stories.
This was the same guy.
Yeah. This was the very first regression I'd really done in regressing. And for him, it was like, wow, because it explained a lot. Because he was a big guy and he'd sorted a few people out. And he told me he had no problems if someone did something really wrong. Killing them would be natural for him. he was working within the rules of everything, but I'm just saying it felt natural for him. And the Indian life explained that, and they showed him the penance, the karma that happened when he really enjoyed killing. And that was, he said, that was just an instant recognition for him in this life. Don't do it. Yeah.
Wow.
Even if you feel justified.
It almost explains maybe why some people have that instinct in them. Maybe
that's the thing. I mean, we're all enlightened souls that we're looking for the peace and the love and the wisdom through this. Some souls are addicted to killing, or are addicted to power, or are addicted to hurting other people. And just because they cross back into heaven and see their soul guides doesn't mean they get rid of those addictions or negative traits. So they have to work through them in physical lives. And a lot of people fall off the wagon and go back to old habits. So some people might go 600 lifetimes before they finally get the lesson of, I'm hurting my soul by hurting other people. And I need to start healing my soul and not hurting other people. They make that connection and then go, I want to get back on the right track. And then the teachers are like, finally, the students, wants help and wants to get back on the right track. They can do their karma, but the teachers hope they come back on their own to the right track. They'll give them lives and opportunities to work out what's right and wrong and to do that. But basically, they can't force anyone to go for the wisdom or the love or the understanding. They have to come to that realization. That's the free will.
Like you said, if you drown, you bring back the little rock in your pocket about the waves. So would it be a similar thing if you killed people and were good at it and kind of enjoyed it? You would bring that little rock back with you time and time again too.
Yeah, like for my friend, it felt natural
right
for him, and he wouldn't have a problem with it because it was familiar and something that he justified naturally. But in saying that, karma is there. Whatever actions you do, you have to pay back to balance. So he had to go through that karma to balance that back. And there are a few cases of all different ways of karma to pay it back. And sometimes there is so much karma that spirit has different ways of helping a soul with their negative energies. It's in Destiny of Souls, in there about reshaping and remodeling souls. So it can happen, but it's kind of the minority. It's still all learning curves, but spirit is there to heal every situation. And the main thing for us as students of the physical world is we have a thing called our soul energy. Now, as a soul energy, think of it like a glass of water or milk. When the glass is full, it's 100%, and our soul's the same thing in a body. The glass is the body, it can contain the soul. And the thing is, with the physical life, we never take 100% with us down here on earth. We will leave an essence of our energy behind. And it might be 5%, might be 10%, but we leave that with our soul group, our soul family behind. And there's several reasons for that, but we never take 100% down here with us. And that is because when we finally cross over from our physical life and we go back home, that energy is a blueprint of how to repair us back to 100% of what we were before we left.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Makes sense.
Yeah. It's also
it is beautiful.
Our higher self. Our higher self has our full memory of all our past lives in spirit. So when we come back as a soul and we're greeted with our friends and family at the gateway and we're talking with our soul guide, we're still in our human frame, our human personality. And we're still like, what is this place? I've never been here before. Who are you? And we're going, oh, wow, this is heaven, is it? And our soul friends giggle and laugh and they're like, yeah. And when you go to the healing area, they join you back with your essence, your higher self. And then you become your full personality again, your full soul memories and soul personality again. You go, oh, wow, I'm back. I know all you people. I know where I am. So we join back. It also serves the purpose that when we're down in the physical world, if our teachers need to connect with us, we have that essence in our soul group that they can connect with that, which is still part of us, and it's still connected, but that energy's there, and it's a way of contacting us and communicating with us on a subconscious level.
Okay.
And then you've also got, and this is it's a very common thing, that as a soul, you have a little temptation to leave more energy behind and take less with you down on Earth, because say you leave 20% behind and you take 80% with you, that 80% has got to work harder in that life. And by working harder, it grows more. Think of a muscle lifting weights. Okay? So the more weights you put on your arm, the more the muscle's got to compensate and grow to lift that weight.
Right.
It's a harder job, but you grow faster. It's a little temptation for souls to do. The teachers try and say, I think for this life, there's going to be a lot of hardship and everything. Don't take any less than, say, 75% with you. But a student might go, oh, I'm super at this. You watch me. You know, I can do miracles. You watch me. I'm only taking 50% with me.
Oof.
And the teacher will go, you know, and they'll go, no, I'm really good at this. And I'll go.
Sounded good at the time. What could go wrong?
Yeah. Well, what could go wrong?
What could go wrong?
Sometimes the life is more traumatic than what we thought. And more things happen to damage our soul when we're in the physical life than what we were planning for. So some people don't have enough spiritual energy to cope with all the traumas, all the terrible things that happen, and some people can't cope with their physical life because they haven't got enough energy down here to cope with it. So that's the pitfall of trying to grow too fast too soon.
Yes. That makes good
And
sense.
some souls have been really adventurous and only taken like 30 or 20% of their soul energy down here. And it's just not enough for the mental traumas that we have. Just not enough.
Yeah.
And they don't survive mentally what they go through in life here. I mean, it's hard enough being 95% going through these things.
Yeah.
So one lady that I regressed, she'd been in India in the 1800s, and terrible things were happening with wars and conflict and hardship and murders and loss and everything. And she mentally just checked out. She couldn't cope. And when she crossed over and came back, her soul guides were showing junior soul guides, this is what happens, using her case before she got healed, using her case and saying, do you see her energies? Do you see the colours in her energies and her mind vibration and everything? This is the pitfall that happens if you don't take enough to get through that lifetime. And then they added her with her essence and got her healed and showed the junior soul guides how to heal and how to join them back to 100%. And when I take clients into that waterfall of healing, I always ask, what percentage of soul energy do you have in your present lifetime? And then I ask their teachers, do they have enough for this lifetime? And I give them the opportunity for their teacher or for them to ask, do I have enough? And if their teacher says, I think you could do with 10% more or less, or everything's all right. But if they say, I think you could do with more, then in that environment, we can top them up.
Oh,
wow.
We can give them more energy
interesting
for this lifetime.
That makes me so emotional.
okay.
Wow.
That's
So
Crazy.
Yeah. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
yeah,
It really is.
What a big picture.
yeah.
Wow.
I mean, you think of how many people have mental breakdowns.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying all of them are because of this, but wouldn't it be interesting to find out how many could be because of this?
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
because I think we've all felt like once in a while, like, oh my God, I snapped a rod.
yeah. Well,
So it'd be nice to know that there's like alternative forms of medicine for that.
Missing some juice.
Missing some juice.
The old saying is, God never gives you any more than you can cope with. Well, I'm sorry, but whoever was saying that doesn't know how it works. Because there's another temptation too, and that is soul division. So if you can manage 50% of your soul energy within your physical body, there is a thing where you can say, I'd like 2 physical bodies and I'll put 50% into, or 45% into each one. I'll keep 10% back in heaven. I'll put 45% in that one, 45% in that one, like twins, and I'll have
That's
2 physical lifetimes at the same time on Earth.
Whoa.
So you'll be 2 people living on Earth.
That's
different
crazy.
people, different continents.
Yeah.
Living lifetimes.
Oh, not like sisters or twins.
No, not knowing
That'd be
each
too
other.
easy.
You're pointing at us.
I know.
Yeah. Were you trying to say we're operating at 45% here, Kath? Is that what you're trying to say?
Calling us 45%ers.
I'm like,
And you think,
awesome.
why would you do that? Why would you do that?
Why?
And it's because you're having double the physical learning. You're growing because you're only brought half the energy. And when you come home, you've done 2 lifetimes, so you're learning faster. But there's the pitfall. If that life needed 60% soul energy to get through it, you've now come back with a lot of damage that has to be healed.
Double the damage.
And the healing time it takes.
We call ourselves double trouble, but I don't think that's why.
Speak for yourself.
That you know of yet.
So you keep, you keep saying the soul wants to grow and you want to move on.
Yes.
So I'm imagining this kind of weird environment in heaven where we're all very competitively trying to get to the top of the hill or whatever. But do none of us want to be like, I'm just going to take my time, do my thing?
Yeah, right. Slow
We're
and
all
steady.
different.
Tortoise in the head.
Yeah.
Our soul guides just want us to take our time, take each lesson at a time, to not wreck us, to learn from them, to grow, and just to take that journey at a nice pace. Some souls like to think they're Olympians and they're like, watch me, I'm going to get this done in record time.
Okay, we know that guy.
And they'll end up in the spiritual hospital.
James.
The young girl that had 6 lifetimes, she had not had a rest in between those 6 lifetimes.
Oh.
She had been going for something like 100 to 150 years solid without a break in between. Now, her teachers were saying, you need to rest in between, digest what you've been through, recharge your energies, She thought she was the top athlete. She was like, I am roaring to go. I want to learn everything there is. And they're trying to say to her, you won't learn as much if you don't take time to digest what you're learning and to rest and really think about the next life. If you just keep jumping in, you're missing half the lesson. So she was that enthusiastic. That's what she was doing. And her teachers were like, please have a rest the next time you come back. Because, she is a very bubbly, happy girl. Any sort of trauma, any sort of hardship, and it would knock her flame out, and it'd take her a long time to recover.
Yeah.
It's just all the lessons that a student can take and a student can do. And the teacher has to sit back and go, well, you'll learn, you'll get a skinned knee and you'll learn. Or when you're ready, you'll ask me how to avoid that. And I can tell you how to avoid it or this. So a lot of people that I've regressed sometimes have skipped a rest in between their past lives. Normally it's somewhere between 50 to 100 years they'd like you to rest on the other side. But because we have friends in our soul group or neighbouring soul groups, And sometimes we come back and it's only been 10 years of resting, and they're ready to go on another
Come with me.
lifetime
Come with
mission.
me. It's like, okay.
Yeah. And you're good, you know, you're good buddies, you're good wingmen. And because last time you promised them, you said, oh, you know, if you go there, I'll go with you. So sometimes we're not rested, we're not fully healed, and we jump back in the game again for our friends.
Right.
And they might have rested, but you haven't.
Yeah.
And again, if you want to jump in, you jump in, and these people are tired, don't have the mental capacity, or are really struggling with life. So, you know, spirit likes you to rest properly and heal properly. Yeah.
And how applicable to everyday life. I mean, so many of us work-life balance, what you're saying, you can so easily relate to, because I know I don't chill. I'm bubbly, and then when I get hit, I'm like, oh my God, I need to go in a dark hole. But and also, can you guys not see the screenplays that Tarantino? You should definitely get in touch with Craig.
Tarantino. That's funny.
Can you tell us another karma story?
Yeah, sure. There was a regressionist lady. She went back to a hard life in Europe in the 1700s. She was in a poor village. The mother and brothers, their father was off fighting in some sort of civil war somewhere, and without him around, they didn't have enough food. They couldn't do a lot. The children tried to do as much as they could. He eventually came back, and life was a bit better because he could work in the village and bring more food in and repair things, and you know. So she, you know, around the age of 16, met someone and married him. She had a child, and he died about the age of 1 from illness, and she couldn't have any more children after that. A few years after that, her husband was getting on his horse to go to work, and the horse reared, and he fell off the back and broke his neck. So she lost her husband, and then after that, she was just a poor farm worker, and she never met anyone after that, and she died about the age of 65 from a heart attack in the field. So it was a very sad life. When she crossed back into spirit and she was healing, and she was shown by her soul guide that she agreed to that hardship life as part of karma. She agreed to those events, and that it would be a struggle to get through that life as karma. And she was shown that the life she had lived to cause this karma, she was a rich baroness in Spain in her palacia, and she enjoyed making life hell for anyone who didn't do what she said or didn't like her. And she enjoyed breaking up marriages and stealing husbands. And she thought that was great entertainment. So she was rich and powerful and mean. From that lifetime, she agreed to have a hard lifetime to pay back the debt of what she'd done. Because when you're in spirit and they can show you the life you've been, there is a thing called a cup of sorrows. And basically the people you've hurt, they hand you this cup, and that cup has energy in it. And when you accept the cup, you feel all the pain that you've caused that person in their physical life. And from that, then you realize, I didn't realize how much I'd hurt that person.
Yeah.
And then you go, wow, how do I make that better? How do I pay that back? Now, it mightn't be straight away. Most of the time it is, but spirit can wait until you're strong enough or in a position that you're ready to pay it back. And when you're ready, then you'll do it. But you realize that is a debt you owe and that you have to pay back sometime. So, yeah. And that's how...
Story. Yeah.
That's how we balance.
That is so heavy.
Yeah.
I know.
That's how we grow.
That's how we grow.
So, Craig, I have spent, quite a bit of time since the first time we talked to you thinking about, like, what are my lessons for this lifetime?
Yes.
you know, and I think, you know, my thought is that we can figure some of them out. We probably can't figure all of them out, right? But I feel like I can figure some of them out for sure. I mean, is there a bunch of lessons, or, you know, one main lesson, or like
as many as you can get before the finish line?
All the lessons.
It's a mix of everything. It's a mix of everything. Okay. You've got main lessons that you want to work on. You've also got the human element of trying to understand that within your personality and surviving and life and everything happening around you. You've also got other people's free will happening around you. And you've also got how you react to it. So you might have a map, you might have a compass, and you might be like, yeah, I'm going to go from A to B. But you get lost along the way. You get overwhelmed on the way. Life. It's not always you're a celebrity with millions of dollars. You know, the lesser lives, you learn more through the struggle, through dealing with the ego, through trying to relate to others, or through others hurting you, how you react to it. Spirit understands we're going to make mistakes. And Spirit understands that we learn the most through our mistakes. It's how we react to our mistakes that grows our character. So making a mistake. That was kind of part of
my question too, was, you know, if you feel like you've hurt somebody in this lifetime and you can actually catch that before you die, and you try to...
And you save it from the cup of sorrow.
And you save it from the cup of sorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pull that out. Whatever you can fix down here in the physical is way better than waiting for the next life and trying to sort it out then.
Having to deal with that. So,
sometimes you can fix these things, sometimes you can't. Sometimes the person you're trying to help hates you and you can't do a damn thing.
Right.
But it's how we react to it. As long as we've tried to communicate with them and we've tried to, you know, do the right thing. You can't force people to work it out or to give you whatever to make it right.
No.
You can only try. And that's all they want to see us doing, try.
Okay.
And it's only on the other side that you work out, could you have made that thing better? Maybe there was no chance to make it better. And they're happy you tried. You know, it's only on the other side that you see the bigger blueprint and whether things could work or could not. From our angle, it's just controlled chaos.
Right. And so it's part of your lesson and the other person's lesson that you're interacting with too. Controlled chaos.
Yes.
She really likes that. We almost made the coffee come out.
Welcome to controlled chaos. Yes. And a lot of times you'll relate to this more because the dynamics of family members. Okay. Sometimes we have certain soul mates in our family or friend circle. And we can have several soulmates, that is, friends that are from our soul group that we just get along great with. And they're our true eternal friends. Okay. Sometimes they can be partners in relationships. Sometimes they can be family members. Sometimes they can be random friends that we make in life. But you look in their eyes and you go, I know you. It's so familiar. And we've all had that connection. Sometimes you can only just have one in life. Sometimes you can have 10. It all depends how many of your soul group will have lives that intersect with yours or connect with yours. Sometimes you'll have enemies within your family. Sometimes you'll have enemies within your relationships. And these are souls that you've had past battles with. And because of the karma connection, a nice little thing Spirit loves to do is put you in the same family.
What a prankster.
And you're going to have to try and get along.
Figure that out.
Sometimes you can get along. Sometimes they just hate your guts and there's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
It's up to that soul whether they bond with you, whether they try and become a family unit with you, or whether they're still running on their negative energy from that past life that they can't get over their animosity. In one case, it was a past life where this person had married the daughter, and the mother wasn't too happy about it but accepted it, and they had a horse and buggy accident, and the daughter died, the wife, and the mother-in-law, she blamed the husband for it, and she would not forgive him, and they crossed over into this life, and the mother-in-law became the sister.
Whoa.
And no matter what he did in life, the sister hated that brother.
Wow.
And he tried everything he could to be a good brother to her and to, whatever. And she just had it in for him and just never gave him a rest in life. And, certain people have to be estranged because you just cannot get that acceptance or forgiveness. But
they can't explain it either, probably.
Yeah.
No.
But they chose to bring it with them, right? Yeah, they chose to bring it.
Yeah. And that is the failing of the negative soul, that they're not letting go of their hate and trauma. They're given a chance to work with that person and to get to know that person and to see from their point of view, are they a good person? And their preconception is, I don't want to know them. I'm never forgiving them.
Yeah.
So they're given the opportunity, and it's up to them whether they take it or not. And we all know certain families or certain members of families that for one reason one hates the other one, but nothing's been done.
Yeah.
And this can explain the dynamics of it that way, as well as having soulmates within our family that you just on the same wavelength and you just get along great with them. And you go, why can't all my family be like this? Or all my friends or whoever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And in some cases, like, pathological jealousy can be part of this too from a past life as well. That you just go, what is their problem? I've done nothing to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just,
yeah.
So, it explains a lot of the dynamics. And sometimes there's cycles. I think, Kathy, you're asking about certain cycles that just keep repeating.
Yeah, like abuse cycles or like through generations. It seems like it just continues like a disease.
Yeah, some cases it's like husband and wife that they keep asking to be in that situation. And they might have had 4 past lives this way. And each time they've imploded and destroyed each other.
Oh.
Wow.
And it's a lesson that they have to learn, that it's kind of like an obsession. It's kind of like an arm wrestle, like who's going to give up, who's going to walk away. And if they're both obsessed with winning, then they both go down with the ship. And that's a lesson that they have to learn until one of them says, you know what, this can't be solved, but I'm not being here till we destroy each other. I'm going to leave so that way we can have some quality of life. I wish you well, but I'm walking away. And that's when the cycle ends.
Okay.
Like 2 drunks. And it's not until one of them goes,
Yeah, because you're out of your minds. I think so many of us have dated that partner.
yeah.
You just reframed the toxic relationship that you see so often. It's addictive and it has this essence of its own, and you're completely blind to anything else until you get out.
And same with pathological jealousy. Being jealous of the other person too, whether it's a partner or a sibling or whoever. Sometimes there'll be a parent that just doesn't know what love is. Can't digest it, can't express it, can't give it, and that's their lesson. They do a lot of hurt to the child, but they just never understood what love was. And because they have to let their walls down to be vulnerable to love. And, from a past life, they've been hurt from loving something or someone. And they've just gone, that's it. Oh, that hurts too much. I'm never loving again. But they keep the walls up and their children suffer, their partner suffers, everyone suffers. So there's all different types of lessons as well that some people hurt a lot of people as parents through not loving. And you go, how can you be a mother or father and not show love or affection or, not do this? And that's their failing as a person, that they're not letting go of their pain or their insecurity, and they're just carrying on the hurt and pain again. like a cycle. Again, it's just their free will, and just they say, yeah, I want to go and learn, I want to grow, but once they're in the game, they just go, oh no, it's all too much, I don't want to play anymore, and they just withdraw, you know.
Yeah.
Others, they get carried away with life. You know, there's too much to do, too much to experience, and they can be too careless.
Thank you very much, Craig, for another awesome podcast.
Well, that's it for today from Bombastik Broadcasting. And remember, be inquisitive, be peculiar, be extraordinary.
Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. So much more in this world that you can do. Wake up. Every little thing in this life that you're going through don't mean a thing. Wake up. You keep shining. You keep grinding. Wake up. All is aligning. All you gotta do. Wake up. My man Mo said that the reason that the world fucked up is cause everybody lazy. Positivity is corny to them, but they still gon' complain about the bad going on. Shit crazy. So I just had to drop a little project. I don't know what the object is, but this feels good. If you too hood for the good vibe, sorry I ain't got nothing for you. Why should I?
You shouldn't. We out here doing the things that y'all wouldn't. Life could be a sweet ride. Proof is in the pudding. These guys with the weak vibes, I'll show them where to put it. Down bad, I was looking for the answer. Mind all mad, taking over like a cancer. Canceled the sub plans, came from up above. Told me everything we doing, showing love, and I gotta
wake up. So much more in this world that you can do. Wake up. Every little thing in this life that you're going through don't mean a thing. Wake up. You keep shining. You keep grinding. Wake up. All is aligning. All you gotta do. Wake up.
I've been getting so high, head up in the clouds. I don't ever wanna come down, but I gotta
wake up.
Ain't enough time to be down. Bust a smile, cause it's yet another day that I'm allowed to
wake up.
Feeling blessed to be alive, man. Not long till we thriving. Take the time to remind yourself that it all starts inside yourself. Most.
Wake up feeling stuck every day, then you gotta realize that it's all in your mindset. Read about that meditation, you go get around to it, you just haven't had the time yet. Yeah, I bet. Best thing that you could invest in is you. Could have the results or could have the excuse. Only one life, so take care of what you choose. And I ain't preaching, I'm just telling you the truth. Wake up. So much more in this world that you can do. Wake up. Every little thing in this life that you're going through don't mean a thing. Wake up. You keep shining. You keep grinding. Wake up. All is aligning.